G'day subscribers. Today we're going to talk about safety and the safety check when you go to the Nationals or the state titles. You're with Jules Knight on Jive Talking Garage. So we've been doing a series telling our subscribers about all of the different components that are used when it comes to scrutineering and judging cars for AEHF events. And the part that we're up to now is to do with safety. Now, the points that are contributed for safety are 95 points. So these are pretty easy to get. And it's just a matter of literally keeping your car safe. So of the 95, what I'll do is I'll tell you what each of the components are worth, and then I will take you through the safety check, okay? So what happens is you go to a rally, you rock up, you line up your car, you go to the reception table, you let them know what your name is, whether you've entered yet or whether you haven't entered yet and you need to. You get whatever you are supposed to, and then you go through scrutineering, and then you head to safety check, because now you already have a number and that's been given to you on a sticker on your windscreen. So there is a certain amount of components that are actually used to say whether your car has been judged or not in accordance with the AEHF guidelines. So what I'm doing is I'm going to talk about those guidelines straight out of the Constitution, and also put pictures of the safety and the safety check sheets with our video. So here's the safety numbers right now. So with safety, the first thing they look at is the suspension joints, front and rear, and they allow 15 points for that. So that's the front and rear of the car. They're just looking to make sure everything is okay. As far as the suspension is concerned, things aren't worn, things aren't rusty, things are in good condition, all of those types of things. The next part worth 10 points is the steering joints. So they're making sure, they're having a bit of feel in it, checking the steering box and also maybe the steering wheel to see if there's any wander in it, or how much play there is. They're looking for things to be nice and tight and as packed as possible, so that, they'll make a determination out of 10 points. Now, with most things, whenever I've put on an event, I always pick I try and get 2 people in each of the categories, at least 2 people, and I'm trying to get the most knowledgeable and experienced folks who know what they're talking about, so that it gives a lot of credibility to the judging, so that you don't have issues with people who are unhappy. It is what it is. You can't, it's either right or it's wrong. It's like a horn. It either works or it doesn't. But anyway, we'll get to that. So, as I said, the steering joints are 10, the steering box is 5. Now, lights are worth 15 points. So on a stock FJ, stock 48215, that's your headlights, your Parker lights, your high beam, your low beam, and your tail light. So lights worth 15. Horn, easiest 5 points you're ever going to get in your life. Just make sure it works. Whenever I pull up, I always just beep the horn anyway, so they don't ask me to do it again. And I've never been asked to do it again after I've already done it once. So you just know, whew, that was lucky. That's 5 points. So that's fine. So that's the horn, 5 points. Tyres, including the spare, they'll pretty much allocate 5 points each for the tyres. And obviously, brand spanking new is worth 25 points, no wear, fully inflated. So, if you're talking about the old bias ply, for instance, with a panel van or a ute, it's a 550 Olympic cross ply, or you paid the extra money and got a 590. Whereas, nowadays, you can get some really good radial tyres that fit on the 15-inch rims, and they won't put you out of stock anymore. It's a good safety item, and we voted on that years ago to make radial 0 points and keep you in stock. So that's perfectly fine. So tyres, 5 points each, total of 25 points. Now the brake pedal is worth 5 points, and we'll get to that in the safety check itself. So yes, 5 points for the brake pedal. So you'll see a bloke in there and he's just, pushing his foot on it. And the next part is the handbrake, 10 points. And we'll cover that in the safety check as well. And then you'll see them go around, and out of 5 points, they'll test the shock absorber. So you'll see a bloke with his hand on the guards or on the back, and they'll just be pushing it down to see whether it's got, wallow in it or whether it's pretty firm. So, those points for the shock absorbers are only worth 5. So that's perfectly fine. Now, this is what the safety guys actually look for. So this is straight. Both of these are straight out of the AHF Constitution, and I'll show you a picture of it right now. So this is very akin to putting your car over the pits, for instance. I know I lived in New South Wales for 4 years, so every so often when it came time for re-registration, I'd have to take the car down and have it inspected and so on. And it was a matter of things passing or failing. This is the same in Queensland with a roadworthy certificate or a safety certificate, as they're called now. So that's fine. But okay, let's start the first one. So 1A is headlights, and they're looking at operation and condition, and it's either a pass or a fail. So they're going to look at the final determination of all of this to make up what the scoring is that I just talked about before. Taillights, operation and condition. Park lights, operation and condition. Reflectors, condition. So if you've got nice big ruby red reflectors, well, that's a pass. Brake lights, operation, pass or fail. Pedal height and retention. So what they're looking for is a good height on the pedal, and for you to be able to apply the brake and it come back and hold. I've unfortunately, the first thing that failed on my ute was the brakes, and I had something similar with my Mustang about 12 months ago. I just jumped in the car, and probably the first thing you do when you put the keys in, put the car in neutral and go to start it, you put your foot on the brake. And if it feels a little bit softer, or the pedal starts to go down a bit and doesn't want to come back, straight away there's an issue. Well, that's what they're doing. They're looking for issues, and they're judging accordingly. And that's the part of that retention piece. Retention is hold. It's to have and to hold, to retain. Retention. So pedal height and retention is either a pass or a fail. And if there is an issue, well, they'll get underneath of it, or they should have a look at it anyway, and look for hydraulic leakage to see if there's any fluid or oil or any of those types of things underneath. Now, handbrake, 2B handbrake, operation, pass or fail. So they'll put the handbrake on and they can give the car a push, for instance, or see how it operates first. That's a pass or fail. And what they then have another section is locking device, because they want to lock it into place, and traveled. You don't want a handbrake that pulls all the way out. You just want to be able to put the handbrake on. So they're looking at the locking device itself. Is it doing its job? That comes in the operation part of it. And the locking device, it's on its click, click, click. So is it retaining its position? And how far back do they actually have to pull it to make it come on? So they're not talking about it being pulled all the way on. It's just, obviously what we're trying to do here is when you remanufacture a car, well, you're trying to make it brand new again. So that's what they're looking at, making sure it's as close to perfect as you possibly can. But that's a pass or a fail. That's the handbrake. Now, 3, wheels and tyres. 3A, wheels, safe fitting, pass or fail. Yeah, call that as you want. And tyres, what is the condition of the tyres, pass or fail? Scary story. I did one Nationals, and it was the Queensland Nationals, and this couple had come all the way from Adelaide, and I think the wife was very, very pregnant, expecting a baby, and the scrutineers had finished, so it was just a matter of quickly scrutineering this car for these people. That was fine, and I got to the point they didn't even have a spare tyre. So I'd driven all the way from Adelaide with no spare tyre. So I thought, oh boy, what do I put down for tyres? Particularly when there's just no wheel there. One of the 5 wheels just doesn't exist. But anyway, let's talk about that later, perhaps. Horn and warning devices. Horn, operation and condition under 4A, pass or fail. Well, it either works or it doesn't. And like I said, that's what I like to do when I actually get there and I pull up. I just, it's a little Roadrunner horn, meep, meep. Or if you've got twin horns, it's like beep. So, that's all you're trying to do. Now, the exhaust fitting and noise levels under Section 5. Exhaust fitting, so they're looking at condition and mounting. So how is it all put together? And there is, believe it or not, I was under one yesterday, and, there's certain ways of putting it together, and no two are exactly the same. As much as we'd like to think, it was a pretty good production line. A lot of our cars are handmade. So condition and mounting, pass or fail. Now, noise levels, muffler and pipe condition, pass or fail. So they're looking for, what things are like. Like I put it wasn't brand new. I put a reconditioned engine in my panel van, and I took it for a drive, and it had so much more compression in it. I got pulled over by the police because I'd blown the backside out of the NASCO exhaust, the muffler. And, you don't want that to happen when you're going to a car show. And I wasn't getting into it or anything like that. It just had more compression. And when things are rusty inside and you don't know it and you put more compression in, the burnt gases have got to go somewhere, and sometimes the thing that gives is not the tailpipe, but the actual exhaust baffles themselves. So that's what happened to me. So that's the noise levels. And the police pulled me over, and they were very decent about it all, and they pulled me over because of noise levels. Section 6, suspension joints and shock absorbers. So A is the springs, that's operation and condition. So they'll be checking all of that. B is the suspension, operation and condition, pass, fail. Now they're also going to look at the arms and the linkages and the condition of things. Arms and linkages. So that's drag links, cross members, as far as your, upper and lowers, all those sorts of things. And shock absorbers, operation and condition, pass or fail. So section 7, steering and steering joints. Steering, operation and condition, pass or fail. Steering joints, operation and condition, pass or fail. So they've got a second section 7. I'm sure they mean that it's section 8. But anyway, let's put that aside. So let's call it 8. Exterior finish, fittings and protrusions. Protrusions, things that stick out. A is door, bonnet and boot catches. Operation and fitting, pass or fail. B is panels, safe finish. Okay, safe finish. Okay. C, body rust, condition, pass or fail. Well, on my panel wagon at the moment, it wouldn't fare very well. It's got a lot of external rust on it. Probably a few number plates pop riveted in the strategic places might help, perhaps, or so I've been told. Fittings and protrusions. Fittings and protrusions. Safe, finish, and fitting. So they're not only looking to make sure that everything's safe, but they're looking at how well things have been done too. So if it's been a really, really terrible job, may not pass. You might be actually asked to do something. And let's see. So we've got windscreen and windows, compliance with regulations, pass or fail, and we've got visibility. So that's a pass or fail. So that's under Section 9. So that tells you all of the different things that the judging people look for when you're at the start of your AHF event. Now, if you have a new car, can I give you a tip? Because I spent so much time, effort, and energy on mine, I would just have a little block and a rag. And if people were going to stick a jack underneath my car, I'd just say, "Oh, hang on a minute, fellas," and I'd try and do it ever so nicely. I'd just put the block and the rag underneath their jack, so the paint on my front cross member wasn't going to get ripped up by anybody's jack. They don't mean to hurt things. It's just, sometimes people don't think because it's not their car and they're just used to the workshop. And in the workshop, they just stick a jack under it because they're just normal cars. Well, when you get to our stuff, they're not normal cars anymore. And so I don't know about other people's cars, but I know with mine, I used to do that. And I tried to do it in such a nice way that there was never an issue and people didn't mind. I was never funny about it and people weren't funny with me. So that's fine. So that really tells us about the safety aspects of what you're looking for and the safety check and all of the different point system that adds up to 95%. So this is all part of the AHF judging and scoring system where we're just trying to demystify it for our members. Don't forget to have a look at our Facebook page at NASCO Bay Jive Talking Garage. Have a look at what we're also doing at Jive Talking Garage on YouTube, but more importantly,